Hey guys, Tucker Antell here with another Tucker's tutorial video. Today I'm going to be talking about practicing fourths. There's a worksheet covering everything I'm going to be talking about today on my website, tuckerantell.com. Go to the tutorial section and you'll find a PDF under the video. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to fourths, and so this is just part one of probably several videos to come. And I thought I'd start out with just talking about practicing fourths in a major scale, a lot like you've practiced thirds probably. So a lot of you have probably practiced going up a major scale and using thirds like this. If not, then you just got another bonus thing to practice. But what if you expand that third to a fourth? And so every note in the major scale gets a little interval above it of a fourth away. It's got a whole different sound, and it opens up a whole bunch of different sonic possibilities. So there's a few different ways to practice this, of course. That time I went up and down the C major scale, or D on the tenor sax, and every note in the major scale had a fourth interval above it, so that I called up. The next line in the worksheet, though, starts on the upper note and goes a fourth down to the note that you're playing in the major scale. So that would sound like this. It's good to do both ways because you want to be able to identify a fourth above or below the note that you're on and be able to play in both directions. And of course, the worksheet only features one octave and it only features C major, but of course you want to practice anything that you've learned in all 12 keys, and also from the bottom of your instrument to the top of your instrument, so that you can be comfortable doing that wherever you might find yourself in a solo or piece. So the next one, line 3 on the sheet, is actually my favorite way to practice a lot of these things because it mixes and matches both of those other ways to do it. So the first note is up a fourth, and then on the next note in the major scale you're going down a fourth, and then up and down and up and down and up and down, and it sort of weaves its way up the major scale like that. So that has a pretty cool sound to it. It's a little smoother when you do it like that because you're not jumping all over the place. Of course, you should also practice that the reverse way, not starting up but starting down, because every other note ends up being the same direction. So in order to get really fluent and cover all your bases, try starting it down as well. So if you've done that and you've got all 12 keys fast and clean and precise, another cool thing to practice is practicing this in different modes or different tonalities like minor. So the next couple of lines, it covers the same idea, except this time it's the C minor melodic scale. So, and I don't change the 6 and 7 for ascending and descending, I just leave it alone. But that is a really cool way to practice as well. So for instance, the first one is a C minor melodic scale. This would be great over like a C minor chord. Now you'll notice when you're playing these scales like this, diatonic fourths, they're not always exactly a perfect fourth. Sometimes it's a tritone, and in that case before with a melodic minor, sometimes it's actually a major third. It just works out that way, which is another reason it's kind of useful to do it like this, so that if you want to stay in the same key, you know where to make those little switches. In future videos I'll be talking about practicing these in a constant perfect fourths, but for now we'll just stay in the same key and get used to that. At the very bottom, for those of you who have mastered everything I've talked about so far, it's just sort of another preview of what I'm going to be talking about in future videos, which is one of the things is stacking multiple fourths. So instead of just using one fourth interval from C to F, do another fourth interval from that F to the B. So C, F, B, and then go to the next note of the scale, D, G, C, and so forth. You can do mixing and matching too. I only wrote one line for that, but you can mix and match like we did before. Another cool thing you could do, I only wrote it in triplets because it just looks better that way, but you could practice different rhythms. That kind of a thing. So that makes it a little more useful, and it also practices making things that you've been practicing more musical, and so that you can put it into solos, and it can be a little less of an exercise. It's a lot of fun to do that too, because you can try to come up with as many different possibilities as you can. It's sort of like a puzzle in that way. So that's just the introductions today with fourths, and practice them in a bunch of different ways. Check back for future videos. There'll be some other cool things you can do with fourths and other ways to practice them. To hear fourths in action, if you don't know the recording Freedom Jazz Dance by Eddie Harris, I strongly urge you to check that out. Miles Davis actually also recorded that in the 60s. That composition by Eddie Harris features a lot of stacked fourths and fourths moving all over the place. And of course, check out Eddie Harris's solo. He is a master of playing the interval of a fourth in a solo. So check back on Friday, as I'll be putting a video up of a new lick for you guys to transcribe and finish. So thanks for watching. I'll see you then.